It's a way of the Mr. Quickie, oh yeah. One of the approaches I appreciate in terms of thinking about our world and what could possibly be responsible for this mess we find ourselves in is to ask the question, what best fits our expectations given hypothesis X or Y? When it comes to worldviews, like those inspired by the folks following the tribal war god of Abraham, or on the other side, agnostic atheism. This is the frequent go-to for Christian excusagists who make the fine-tuning argument, for instance, suggesting that there is indeed a fine-tuner. More recently, Christians hoping to make the case for their God can be found talking about consciousness in this same expectations light. And I have to admit, this might be their best take in a long time. Unfortunately, there's an even bigger problem for Christians when considering what we'd expect to see in the world given the existence of an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving creator who has complete sovereignty over his creation. I'm talking about the problem of evil in all its various forms. I tried to address this recently in the latest Mr. Deity episode, Mr. Deity and the Consent. Prior to creation, Mr. Deity is instantiating individuals briefly hoping to get their consent to be born into this world. One such person asks, "Why wouldn't I consent? You're all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving. What could possibly go wrong?" That's the crux of it, isn't it? Like the Spanish Inquisition, no one expects an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving God to create such a complete and utter mess like we see all around us. And I say that knowing I'm living in probably the best time and place to be born and live out whatever years Hitch grants me in the history of this planet. Those three attributes cannot be made sense of in light of all the evil we see in this world. And let's be clear here. There are evils that we can imagine which don't exist. So a creator, if there is one, put at least some limits on the malevolence he'd allow. None of us will fall into a void of nothingness, nor can any of us harm others merely with our thoughts. And it's not just the fact of evil, but the amount and kind. Imagine an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving God who creates a world where babies are raped, tortured, and murdered slowly so that they experience the absolute most extreme amount of suffering possible. This is what must be believed by those following the tribal war god of Abraham. According to them, their God created just such a place, an entirely conscious choice on his part. As many of you know, Amy and I adopted a gorgeous greyhound back in 2012. She has been one of the great loves of my life, sweet as can be and always full of smiles. Just pure goodness. We lost her suddenly back in early December, and it absolutely wrecked me. Watching her suffer those last few hours while we tried to figure out if there was anything to be done was truly devastating. But one of the things I'm most proud of is that not one of my doggy friends has ever known anything but abundance, safety, love, affection, warmth, kindness, and thoughtful, vigilant concern for their well-being. And I possess not a single omni-attribute or property. I'm just another sentient being here on Earth who's learned to care in some small way for other sentient beings. It's not that hard. It really isn't. Unless you're the tribal war god of Abraham, who allegedly knew of every moment since the beginning of time when some sentient creature he caused to be would suffer unspeakably, all while apparently feeling no need whatsoever to care. Is that what you'd expect from an all-loving being with all the power required to make things otherwise? I would certainly hope not. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching. Nothing's as important as enlightening, humorous content. And with once weekly Patreon-supported Wellbritron XL, you'll get that and so much more. And I think it's nice that there's a low risk of sexual side effects. Wellbritron XL effectively delivers enlightening, humorous content with a low risk of sexual side effects. You'll feel great laughing again, all while life-enriching insights come at you left and right. Well, maybe just from the left. Wellbritron XL is not for everyone. There's a risk of seizure-like laughter when taking Wellbritron. This risk can increase if you've recently left your religion or consumed large amounts of marijuana. Don't use if you've recently stopped thinking clearly or are offended by religious or political satire. Be careful when mixing Wellbritron with libertarianism, magical thinking, or regular doses of PragerU, which can increase blood pressure, sometimes severely. To reduce the risk of serious side effects, tell your cognitive advisor of any deficiencies in cognitive function or sense of humor. If religious, contact a secular advisor if you begin to have thoughts of apostasy, dancing, or sexual liberation. Don't stop taking Wellbritron abruptly, as that may lead to extreme mood swings and frequent urination. Once weekly Patreon-supported Wellbritron, humorous, enlightening content with a low risk of sexual side effects. Go to patreon.com/Mr. Deity to find out about once weekly Wellbritron XL. You'll laugh, you'll think, you'll feel better. And so will I.